Step past the yellow tape. Welcome to a very different kind of crime scene. In this explainer, we are reopening the evidence on a cold case that lives entirely inside you. We're going to investigate the origins of those hostile, relentless voices inside your head. You know the ones. The voices that judge you, the ones that demean you, the voices that seem to know exactly where you're most vulnerable. We always just assume these thoughts are our own. But what if they're not? What if you're actually housing a psychological suspect? Let's examine the evidence.
I've been running from you, running from Sundays, running from me, but you found me anyway. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was raised in the smoke where the truth get bent. Cold water heart, but I still feel heaven sent. Eyes roll back when they preach that grace, but I cry in the dark when I see my face. Red rag tied just to cover the pain. Rebel with the cause, but I'm numb to the rain.
Alex, thanks for coming in. We just need you to walk us through what you saw the night of the 14th.
I don't know if I can say it out loud again.
It's okay. Tell them the truth. What really happened.
You weren't supposed to look at me.
Here, no one's gonna hurt you. Just start from the beginning.
The beginning? There's no clear beginning. Everything's blurry. The lights were weird.
You said you saw me near the alley.
I swear the street lamp flickered like 3 times before God. My memory's trash. I can't trust my own eyes.
You're safe here.
So you're not certain?
Certain? Nobody's certain about anything. The world's chaos.
Alex, look at me. You're scared. That's okay. But fear lies, doubt paralyzes, and negativity, it blinds you faster than any dark alley.
I didn't see a face.
That's all we needed.
You'll never be enough. It echoes in the quiet moments. It strikes right when you're about to take a risk. Treat this phrase like a chilling piece of evidence left at the scene. It feels so intimate, so deeply woven into your identity that you just accept it as a hard, undeniable truth. But I need you to ask yourself a terrifying question right now. Who put that voice in your head? Consider for a moment that the loudest, most destructive thoughts you experience every single day might not actually be your own. They might be borrowed beliefs, lies planted by someone else, watered by experience, and repeated until they sounded exactly like you. A hostile witness. We're going to start by looking at this internal saboteur not as some permanent part of your identity, but as a hostile witness. And look, this isn't exactly a new phenomenon. Even the great historical minds battled this entity. The brilliant author Virginia Woolf once wrote that we are surrounded by a circle of invisible censors. She famously named her hostile witness the angel in the house. It was this phantom voice constantly dictating how she should behave, always telling her to placate others. She was literally fighting a ghost in her own mind. Profiling the suspect, also known as the inner critic. So if we're dealing with a hostile entity, it's time to shift into forensic profiling mode. Psychotherapists call this primary suspect the inner critic. It's essentially a subpersonality. Think of it like a strict internal moral rulebook, kind of like the Freudian superego, that functions as an inhibiting, punishing censor. It totally thrives on producing shame and anxiety, and it generates this debilitating narrative that isn't even based on objective reality. Instead, it's built on your past emotional core memories. It quite literally uses your history against you. What makes this suspect so incredibly dangerous is the sheer variety of disguises it wears to avoid detection. Psychologists Jay Early and Bonnie Weiss have profiled 7 distinct aliases of the critic. It might show up as the perfectionist, demanding absolutely flawless execution, or the guilt tripper, paralyzing you with past mistakes, or even the destroyer, completely attacking your fundamental self-worth. It shapeshifts, all to maintain absolute control over your decisions. The accomplices, the internal family systems model. All right, here is where the plot thickens. The inner critic doesn't act alone. It's actually part of a much larger, highly organized psychological syndicate. Dr. Richard Schwartz mapped out this entire syndicate of the mind. First up, you have the exiles. These are the parts of you carrying deep pain and trauma, locked away in isolation. To keep that pain hidden, the managers step in, constantly trying to control your environment and prevent any triggers. And when that system fails, the firefighters rush in. They act impulsively, using destructive habits just to extinguish the emotional distress. It's a brilliant but ultimately tragic ecosystem of survival.
Your Honor, evidence A.
Let me see that file. Proceed with the witness.
Evidence of borrowed beliefs. To truly understand how this syndicate gets armed with such toxic beliefs in the first place, we need to open a real-world case file. Let's examine Exhibit A, the personal research thesis of Ingrid Campbell. Raised in a family cult environment defined by severe spiritual abuse, Ingrid's mind was fractured by childhood trauma, eventually resulting in dissociative identity disorder. Her research offers a breathtakingly intimate look at how abusive external systems can violently rewrite a person's entire internal reality. Listen to this quote from her work. It honestly echoes like a victim impact statement in an empty courtroom. She says, "I became a prisoner to the absence of self, sovereignty stripped and replaced with shame." That right there, that is the ultimate crime of the inner critic. It forces you to carry roles and burdens that were never yours to hold to begin with. It strips your sovereignty, leaving a void that it just fills with its own hostile voice. So how exactly does a lie become a lived reality? Well, it follows a specific, highly predictable sequence. It starts with a core emotional memory, say the trauma of childhood hunger or conditional love. Then, the environment repeats this distress. Your brain, which is perfectly designed to recognize patterns, internalizes this as an absolute truth. By adulthood, that external trauma has crystallized into the inner critic that tells you today that you have to sacrifice absolutely everything just for a little security. The mind. It is finally time to turn the tables and put the mind on the witness stand. To do this, we use a tactical interrogation protocol.
Let's examine the evidence. Who first taught you your worth depended on performance? Who told you emotions were weakness? Who convinced you asking for help is failure? Were those voices even trustworthy? Were they healed themselves? You've been living by testimony from unreliable witnesses. Objection! The witness lacks credibility.
In the internal family systems model, these are known as the 6 Fs. First, you find the feeling in your body. You focus on it. You flesh it out. What does it actually look or sound like? Then you assess how you feel toward it, deliberately separating your true self from the emotion. Then, and this is radical, you befriend it to understand its positive intent. Finally, you ask what it fears would happen if it stopped doing its job. You don't fight the voice. You calmly, methodically interrogate it. But to conduct this interrogation safely, you need strict boundaries. Think of it like a standard university ethics release form. Just as academic research requires ethical safety and consent, your internal work requires a deeply safe container. You cannot aggressively force a trauma to reveal itself. You must establish firm boundaries and self-awareness before you even step foot into the interrogation room of your own mind. Chapter 6, the final verdict. The evidence has been presented. The hostile witnesses have been cross-examined. And here is the twist in our case. The final verdict is not to violently execute these inner voices. It's not about silencing every single voice in your head, but rather knowing which voice actually has authority. Once interrogated, you often find that your harshest critic is really just a terrified inner child, or an exhausted protector desperately trying to shield you from past trauma. The goal here is to relieve them of duty and reclaim your core, undamaged self as the rightful leader of the system. A final piece of evidence from Ingrid Campbell's thesis reminds us of this beautifully. She writes, "Integration is not about becoming one, but becoming whole. True healing isn't the erasure of your past or the forced silencing of your fragmented parts. It's building a mosaic self, a self that sits at peace with its own history, looking at the trauma with compassion rather than obeying it out of fear." So I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about.
See the system behind the screen. Question the voice. Break the loop. Stay tuned.
The controversial court case involving Officer Reyes took another turn today. We expect a statement from the precinct shortly. We will have more details on this story coming up at the top of the hour.
We have breaking news this evening regarding the incident involving Officer Reyes. New details have emerged.
I see Officer Reyes. He was arguing with himself. It was lying. He heard his thoughts for the first time and he realized they weren't how he truly felt.
And now joining us, Officer Reyes. Officer, you wanted to address this?
Yes. Due to years of TV, rap, miseducation, my thoughts became negative and therefore caused this.
The evidence shows many of the thoughts controlling your life were never yours. Truth has greater authority. then repetition. Today, we stop believing every voice. We start testing every voice. Court is adjourned.
Today we're unpacking the Reyes officer court case. Scripture tells us to take every thought captive. A renewed mind doesn't silence every voice. It learns which voice deserves authority.
The battle isn't only for your attention, it's for your agreement. Who benefits if you never question the voice inside your head?
What is one sentence you've repeated about yourself that you are no longer willing to believe? It is time to evict the borrowed beliefs living rent-free in your mind. The court is adjourned.
I seen everything, bro. Mind if I, first off, shout out everybody, man. Lil all A and B honor roll.